Hey guys, I'm taking you guys through how to create an end screen. Most of this is stuff that we've used in the past, so this should be relatively easy, if a weird way that to use some of the code that we've used in the past. So before we code, we always want to figure out what our goals are with this code, so it makes it easier for us to figure out what we need to do. So when we talk about end screen code, usually what happens is we have to figure out the end of game condition, create an end screen, and then trigger it when the game ends. So we've got an end of game condition, trigger it when the game ends. So typically one of the big ways that we talk about ending a game is when you run out of lives. So generally when we're checking for something, remember that we can use the if statements to check for a condition. So in the case of this, we can use our if statement and then check to see if life is a certain thing. So remember, we have all these Boolean blocks over here, less than, greater than, equals to. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to figure out which block you think might be best to use to consider endgame. But you're going to have to figure out which one to use with that life reporter block right there and combine it with an if. Remember, if you're checking for something, if you're using an if block, it will only check once. So if we want to check continually, we're going to have to add that forever to it. So if we put it all together, it'll be forever if blank, then do something. So second thing, we have to figure out what we want to do with the end game. So let me move this over just a little bit and shrink down my window just a tad. We need to create a new backdrop real quick. If you haven't done that before, you go over to the right here and you just choose the paint one. I'm just make a really simple one. So I'm just going to drop a colored background in. Let me make it large enough so that it covers the entire screen. All I have to do in there is game over. And let me change that color so you can actually see it. You can make yours fancier if you want. I'm just doing a really simple one, just to show you the process. So we've got our game over screen. Perfect. So now I've got the blue sky, the game over, and then I've got a blank one here. So if we go back to our code, go back to the cat, I can then just say, look, switch backdrop to, oh, I forgot to name it. Let me name it real quick. So right now it's called backdrop. I want to put that game over screen. I usually want to do this just because if I have more backdrops, or if I want to add more backdrops, like if I want to make another level, giving it a name will make it easier to find and figure out later. So switch backdrop to game over. Perfect. Just remember, you need to put that condition in. Now you'll notice if you run this code with the condition that you create over here, your character will still stay on screen. So notice here, we've got the cat flying. One thing that you might want to add then is, if you're doing this code in the cat like I am, just add a hide block there. So that if the game ends, oops, if the game ends, your cat will disappear. Just remember, you also want to add a show block at some point so that he does appear. Notice, however, when I run my game now, it stays on the game over screen. One thing that you're going to have to do on your own is figure out, how do I switch it back to the sky screen so it looks more like it did before we added the game over screen. And then think about where in your code you would place it. So that's that. I've got the basics here. the things that you're going to have to fill in. You're going to have to fill in this condition here to figure out when we switch to the backdrop. You're going to have to figure out when you need to show your cat again. And then last but not least, you're going to figure out when to switch your backdrop back to sky. I look forward to seeing what you guys do. Please send this in. Remember, this is going to be your summative for the week, so please remember to get this in. And let me know if you have any questions. I am available live between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m., but I will always answer emails. So feel free to send me an email. Remember to share your code with me if you're sending me an email so I can actually see what's going on. Thanks, and look forward to seeing your projects, guys.